Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Pineapple Headache with me and
Madison,
yes,
after so many moons.
welcome back to our irregularly scheduled program because life is still busy.
Yeah, even just figuring out when to do this has been a struggle.
Yeah, we literally just texted each other. We're like, "Are you free now?" Yeah, I'm free now. Okay, let's
Yeah.
record an episode now.
Like, are you free for now, right now? Yeah, okay.
But we had this idea for a while, or I guess it's not really
For
much of an
like a
idea,
month.
but yeah, but we just wanted to talk about graduating because me and Madison had our graduation ceremony from LMU like literally almost a month ago, like a day off, but a
Yes.
month ago on July 31st. We're
And it
recording
was
this on
our
August 30th.
our mega commencement.
Is that
I
what
hope
they
that
called it?
Yes, that was like canon what it was called by LMU because
Okay.
they combined class of 2020 and 2021, undergrad, graduate, and law school. So I think in total there were like 6,000 graduates,
Yes,
which
there
for
were.
LMU was not normal.
The whole thing of trying to plan a mega commencement, I feel like was a lot. Not even like I don't really. I'm sure they worked on it a lot to make this whole thing because it
Yeah.
was at the SoFi Stadium and they had all these things at graduation. But even waiting for those emails to register for commencement,
Oh my
getting
god.
parking passes
It
was
was
such like a
so
hassle.
chaotic. Yeah, it felt
Yeah.
like really disorganized because I think they first announced it like the end of April because they announced it when I was hanging out with you at your apartment, like for the
Oh,
last time
okay.
ever. And
Mhm.
then they sent us the email or whatever with the video, or they had a video message where they were like announcing mega commencement, blah blah blah, and that it was going to be at SoFi Stadium, which for those who don't know, SoFi Stadium is the huge new football stadium they just built in Inglewood for the Rams and the Chargers to play at. I think they're going to share it. So it's a super huge stadium that can hold like I think like 90,000 people. So not what you would think as a venue for a small private college graduation, but I guess someone must have known someone or
What
something.
do you mean? It's a mega commencement. You need
Yeah, mega commencement there's maybe like I don't know, like 20 or 30,000 people there or less.
I know. I mean even looking at the crowds when you were there, it was
It looks
like
so
not
empty
yeah. Okay,
because there's so many seats.
okay, so I wanted to ask what were your thoughts building up to that commencement? Like maybe like a week or 2 weeks before you were like, "Oh, I'm finally going to go walk." Well, you didn't technically walk, but
Yeah. Remember when they baited us then at the it was like within the month leading up to it. Or no, maybe a little longer than that when they were like, "We're you're not walking." And then people started a petition to be like, "Read our names."
oh yeah,
Blah blah blah.
the change.org
Yeah, they started
petition.
change.org petition and I'm like, "What is the White House going to do about this?" Like, okay. And then and then LMU was like, "We calculated it and it would take 6 hours to read every single person's name."
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I don't want to sit in the sun for 6 hours, so
They were
that's
also
fine.
it's okay because we had our online virtual ceremony where we
Yeah,
just
with
had
our little card.
our little
Yeah,
card and a computer
with our name and
voice
picture.
just saying our name and everyone
Yeah,
was like, "Okay." Yeah, I mean,
and
I was a little upset about it at first cuz
me too.
I wanted to
I wanted
walk
to see
across
my
the
friends.
stage.
Yeah, I wanted to walk, and I wanted us to like go. I wanted us to bookend it. Maybe not
Yeah.
actually, but I wanted us to I don't know see my friends walk and stuff. But then when I saw like the change.org petition, I was like, okay, now I don't really care. Like that
Yeah.
had the opposite effect on me that made me not care anymore.
But it's it's you get your 20 seconds of attention and then you gotta wait for 6,000 other people's names to be called. Like I kind of get
Yeah.
it, you know?
Yeah. And then like what is our family supposed to do? Like they're just going to watch a gazillion other people.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And then
Well,
also because it was such a big stadium, like my parents were like we literally can't tell where you are. They can
oh,
only
yeah.
tell. The only thing that helped them identify me is because I decorated my grad cap and also because I was wearing like bright colored Converse.
Oh, okay.
So that helped, but otherwise they were like, we literally can't tell who any of these. I think we just looked like ants
Yeah.
from the crowd perspective, so I can see maybe that's also not optimal for walking across the stage.
Did you remember any feelings or thoughts when you were anticipating your graduation ceremony?
I was just more excited to see everybody again. Seemed like pretty much everyone I knew came back for it, or pretty much everyone we knew,
Mm-hmm.
like friends and stuff. That was all I really cared about.
Well, yeah,
Um,
I don't think the more important part, like, yeah, it was like nice to graduate. I mean, I guess like, actually go through the whole thing of like, oh, like I'm finally able to close this chapter. 'Cause like we already
mhm.
have our degrees. Like I have my diploma in a
Yeah.
frame somewhere. But I think the more important thing was because we hadn't seen a lot of people in a year and a half ever since the pandemic
Pandemic.
quarantine period started, and
Hmm.
LMU was like, just kidding. School is no longer in person. We're all going to be virtual for the rest of the time. Like we didn't really like get the closure with a lot of people because LMU was like move out in like a week and a half.
Yeah. Literally, they're like, yeah, because I remember some people like left before I could even say bye. So it's like the first time I saw a lot of people again, like since then. So that was kind of
Mhm.
weird.
Mhm.
It's like just once again that weird pandemic feeling of yes, like time, a lot of time has passed, but at the same time, it kind of feels like not a lot of time has passed.
Yeah.
It's very bizarre, but I was like, okay. But so I was just excited for that. Yeah, I was just like excited to see people. I was intrigued about this whole SoFi Stadium thing because it's so big. Like, what? They could have had it on campus, but or because they could have broken it up by class and still had it on campus, but
They really could have.
but
They
I
like
guess it's not as epic, because of course then once they announced that the commencement speaker was Viola Davis, I was like, okay, this is not all for naught now. This is all gonna
um
be worth it.
yeah, oh my gosh. When I told like my parents and like my family, I was like, "Oh, Viola Davis is going to be my commencement speaker." They were like, "Who is that?" And I was like, "The actress? The
Yeah, what?
award-winning actress?" And I had to show a picture and they're like, "Oh, okay. I just don't know names. I only know like faces." And I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah, you know how to get away with murder, right? And her
Did
speech
you
was really good. I guess we're
Yeah.
gonna get ahead there, but
Did you go to the mass before or no?
no, because I didn't sign up for a mass in
Oh,
time.
okay.
And because, well, okay, so I was originally going to go to the mass because there was originally going to be a single mass outside in Sunken Gardens. And I was going to be like, fine, I will make my family go to the one mass outside in Sunken Gardens. Then they were like, just kidding. We will now have 3 different masses at 3 different times inside. And I was like, first of all, now I have to make a decision on a time, which, like, that's asking too much of me. Second of all, why is it inside? I don't want to sit inside with, like, anti maskers and anti vaxxers. So, no. And then, so I just put off signing up because I could never make up my mind. So then by the time I went back and I was like, okay, maybe I should sign up now, the signups had closed. So I just gave up.
Oh, okay. Wow, that was a process. I was always gonna go to mass because, like, Catholicism.
Ew, Catholicism derogatory. But yes, continue.
But cause I feel like if like I'm flying all the way from Houston to LA. I was like, well, I have to dive into all of the festivities of graduation, right? And I'm sure my parents were like, oh, there's a mass. Of course, we're gonna go to your graduation mass. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, so it'll be like like my parents and my sisters and then Dion, my boyfriend. I was like, okay, so we'll like go to mass. And then when LMU was like, just kidding, it's gonna be inside and you have to pick one of the 3 times. And then they were like, also, you can only bring up to 2 guests. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess it'll just be my parents then. And then they sent the other email being like, just kidding, it's not gonna be inside, it's gonna be outside next to the
Yeah.
chapel. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm still bringing my parents then. So we got there. I printed out the tickets and everything. We, like, walked over to the sculpture garden right next to the chapel. And, like, there was no one checking for tickets. No one was, like, like, there
Counting
wasn't, like,
people.
yeah, counting people or anything. I was like, literally, I could have just brought,
Your whole family.
yeah. But I was like, okay. And then Laurel was there. I was like, Well, I was sitting all the way in the kind of towards the back, so I couldn't really see a lot. But Laurel had texted me being like, "Hey, I'm sitting at the front. If you want to sit down with us," and I was like, "Oh, I'm already sitting down." But she went to go do the profession of faith, where they say, "Lord, hear our prayer," like after the
Yes.
homily.
Yes,
Yeah, so
yes.
Laurel did that, and I was like listening to her voice, and I was like, "Why does that not sound like Laurel?" It was
And
like Laurel just no, because you know how Laurel kind of has like isn't like it doesn't have like a high voice, because she was speaking in her reader liturgical minister
yes.
reader
Does she have a different
voice.
voice for that?
Yeah. So Laurel, if you're watching this, I already told you.
Listening.
You're oh, if you're listening, I already told you, but yeah, your liturgical voice sounds very different than how you usually talk. But it was very
Wow.
nice. Yeah, so I saw a lot of campus ministry people that I once knew and then no longer really talk to.
As you should. Well, I guess we shouldn't turn this into campus ministry slander, but okay, yes.
And then they did the mass, and then there's always like I think one of the things I was looking forward to with this mass, I don't really remember much from the homily. I think it was something like basically like, oh, it's time for you to go out into the world and like serve, like teach the
Set the world
gospel.
on
Yeah, like
fire.
that type of thing. And I was like, okay, but like class of 2020 has already been out in the world for like a year now. Not technically because we're in a pandemic, but like
Yeah, no one's out in the world right now.
we're like I was like, we literally just entered like a workforce that wasn't
Ready?
ready, wasn't that just wasn't there. And he's like, it's time for you to set the world on fire. I was like, I mean, the world is has so many flames as it is with
Yeah,
everything
what?
going on.
How about employment opportunities set themselves on fire and then be more plentiful because there's
Yeah.
not many.
Yeah, and then so but the thing that I look forward to cuz I used to like serve at the baccalaureate mass when I was in a service organization because they made people do it. So I did that. And there was always this blessing at the end that I like to call Catholic Colors of the Wind because it's like an Irish blessing where they're basically like, may the rain come upon you, may the sun shine on you, like that type of thing.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, this seems nice because it's like your family puts their hands on you and like they give a blessing. And I'm like, oh, it's like you're getting blessed by your family, which I think is nice because, at the end of the day, your like family would, be your biggest supporters, especially when, if you're in the privilege of being supported, financially supported by your family during this time, then like, yeah, I would give all thanks to my parents who have like
Mhm.
supported me through that time and then blessed me to like go out into the world now with the degree that they helped pay for.
Mhm.
So it was very nice. My mom teared up.
Wow.
And then the mass was over, and I just remember my mom, because like my parents never, they don't come to LMU because, we live in Texas. So, like, why would
Yeah, it's
they
kind of
visit
far.
LMU a lot? So, when they were sitting, because, mass at LMU really is theatrical at times.
Yes, it's like a whole spectacle or event.
Yeah, yeah. So like when you know how the music is at the chapel, like just like
Oh
multiple
yeah.
instruments, different harmonies happening.
It's like a
My mom,
production.
yeah, my mom was like, "Why does this sound like we're at a musical?" And I was like, "I know. It's like three different
She's
three
true.
different harmonies going on. There's like a whole drums, piano, violin, saxophone. Like it was like a
It's
the
like a
whole
whole
thing.
thing.
She was like, "Oh my gosh, it feels like I'm on Broadway." And I was like, "Okay." Yeah, the mass ended, and then they were like, "Oh, we have a gift for all the students." And it was a tote bag from the
Oh,
Alumni Association
wow.
for probably in hopes that we will one day donate money for the
To
school
future
because we
tote
are
bags.
alumni.
Totally. I will definitely consider doing that.
Yeah. So that was my mass experience. I was like, wow, what a way to kick off
Yeah, I
graduation
mean, on
weekend.
that same day, that's the day that I went to go take pictures on campus with my family. So we just did that for like an hour and a half and then left.
Oh wait, you saw the robots.
Oh my god, yeah, they have like food delivery robots that look like they kind of look like remote control cars. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a remote control cars looking thing that rolls around the ground, but it's like bigger cuz it like has like, food in it or whatever. But then like on the front it has a LED screen or whatever, thing where it can like make faces. Like I don't know
Yeah.
how to verbally describe this. I think other places have them though, but I was very confused and one like photobombed one of my grad pictures. So I'm just like standing on Palm Walk smiling, and then each picture you just see it coming closer behind me. Like, bro, isn't this what Age of Ultron, the Avengers movie, was about?
Imagine if Age of Ultron was that little like robot.
Because that's what happened. Was Ultron was like the mastermind, and then he took over. He took over all the Stark robots or whatever. So I feel like that's gonna happen at some point. But now that we're graduated, we don't have to worry about it because it's not our problem. Because we're not
Yeah,
there.
imagine if that was tap and go while we were in school, where it's like, oh, I want to order like a drink from Starbucks real quick, and then a robot just arrives at your door with your
And it's
Starbucks drink.
just sloshing around inside.
Yeah,
It's like, here
and it's
you
like
go.
spilled,
It's like
and
the
it's
drink
like
is half full. And you're like,
it's half full,
thanks.
and it's like the drink is like no longer warm.
Yeah.
It's just
Or
cold.
it's like melted, and you're just like, all right, this is the future, baby.
Well,
Yeah, they're cute though.
I'm wondering in terms of like, cause okay, so cause I kind of like see them as like those Roombas, those vacuums. So
Yeah,
like
my
if
grandma
they were
has
to
one.
fall or like get stuck somewhere.
Oh my god. Well, so when it was photobombing me, and then it came up behind me, my sister was like standing like with my parents because they were like facing me, and my sister was standing on like the side of the path, which is where the robot was coming. So it stopped like 2 or 3 feet in front of her because it could sense that there was something in the way,
Oh,
and then it
okay.
just kind of was like waiting, like, hey, can I get through or what?
And was Marley just
Marley just
having
because
like
we
a
were just
stare
like, what's
down with
happening?
it?
Yeah, we were just looking at it like, oh my god, it's here. Cause because then it was stopped because of Marley. I took some grad photos with the robot, but then we let it go. So this was on Palm Walk, like right outside like VDA, So it's like
Yeah.
close to the street. So then we were like, oh man, like what happens when it crosses the street? So we got out of the way and let it go, and then we stopped to watch and wait for it to cross the street. And people did not know what to do with it either. Like it knew to stop and I guess like evaluate if anything was coming. And then there was a car that had come, and also like a maintenance person on a golf cart had come, and they stopped to let the robot pass, like cross. But then the robot like did not. So then they just drove because they were like, this robot isn't going. And then the robot waited until like there was literally nobody near the crosswalk to go. So I guess if you're driving, just like be careful and like look out for those little tiny things.
I just feel like
It's gonna get
if
run over. I feel like that
well
too.
that but like college students, on like a weekend, like a Saturday or Friday night, they go out to
Dude, they're gonna
party and
mess with
drink.
them.
They're gonna like
Yeah.
I feel like some like
They're
frat
gonna
guys
steal
are just
it.
gonna start beating or start beating it up or like steal it for their like this is our frat mascot
Robot.
now.
Yeah, like I feel like that'll happen, which I guess then they can track it to you, but it's like when people stole the bird scooters, Where they'd like
Oh
steal it and
yeah,
hack it to
yeah.
deactivate the like I feel like people are gonna do that with the little robot guys. But yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Just the whole campus vibe was a lot different, I feel like, cuz you and I
Mhm.
went onto campus briefly together like the week leading up to
Oh
graduation.
yeah, because I had to pick up one of my stoles, and then
And
we
then
visited the new dorms.
yeah, we looked at the new dorms, which literally just look like Silicon Beach high rises, kind of. And then
Oh
now that, which we did not see robots when we were there, so I
no,
don't know
we weren't.
why I only saw that on Friday. That's weird.
I guess they were just because like oh now there's people on campus, so like
Yeah, so now I
let me
saw
have
a
the
robot
robots
around.
roam.
Yeah, because I saw like robots like twice. Like I saw there was the one that photobombed me, but the first one I saw was when I was walking back from the bluff. So I was passing the library, and it came up the ramp with that little fountain towards my family, and we were like, "What the hell is that? What is that?" And then my mom stopped it with her body to take pictures because it stopped when it sensed her, and she was like,
Oh
"Oh my
okay.
gosh." It was cute, but also I'm like Ultron, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know why we didn't see that there. But so the vibe of campus is definitely more like Beach Playa Vista technology
Yeah,
than
I
like
mean
when
Playa
we were
Vista's just
there.
down the street, so
Yeah, down the
it fits
hill.
the vibe.
So
Oh my gosh, also when we were there, like when I went to go pick up my stole and you were also there. Do you remember? Like because they're not doing like, tours around campus, so it's like self-guided. So they had a
Oh
bunch of
yeah.
like photo spots, being like photo spot
Yes.
number 6, stand here, and it'd be like Foley Fountain
Yes. That was
or
like I was like, these are some of these spots seem questionable. Because of like the way the campus is right now, because the new film school building was still like under construction. So there's a bunch of like ugly fences around. There's like
mm-hmm.
there and then like that field near the apartments. Like it's like a lot of construction still. So I'm like, oh, this is not that photogenic. Also, like, school just started, so is that done now or what? I'm pretty sure school either just started or is starting, like, today.
Yeah.
So, is that building done? Or, like, where are the film students going to school?
I don't know. Well, because they had orientation last week, so I'm pretty sure first day of school is today.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going on, but we're not there anymore, so
Not our problem, but yeah, so whatever. But yeah, the robots were definitely the weirdest thing. I was just like, okay, I don't know what's happening. Also, how do you have robots deliver food on a like area of like thousands of people? Like, do you have to have like thousands of robots then?
well, I don't that's why I'm like, where like if is there like a base for these robots? Like where do they go at the end
Yeah,
of the night?
I'm just confused. Or maybe they don't even deliver food. Maybe they just deliver like documents or mail or something. I don't know.
Documents.
I don't know, like interdepartmental mail.
But it's the whole part of the experience to walk to the basement of University Hall to get your package.
Yeah, you need to come to my workplace and get your mail. Or well, they would send like the people out with like the carts of mail around campus
Yeah,
from
yeah.
yeah, so I guess there's that. Maybe they're replacing those people. That sucks. Oh well. Again, we're not there, so don't know what's happening, but yeah, so that was that Friday, and then commencement was the Saturday, and that was a early morning. That was okay, so the commencement situation was very confusing. So it's like, this huge stadium that holds a million people. So I think you could bring up to 15 guests, but you could
Yeah.
only get 2 free parking passes.
Yeah. And parking was like $40 if you didn't have
It
the
was
parking
like,
pass.
yeah, so it's either you pay $30 ahead of time or $40 on the spot to park if you don't have one of the free passes. And the graduates had to be there like 2 hours before the people, like the guests. So naturally, the graduates will use one parking pass for themselves. So that means all their guests just have to use the other one.
Oh, I came with my parents. Like my family was
They
there
just
already.
so they just wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went separate because I drove Laurel and Abby and Dion. I did like Laurel slept over after the mass, and then I picked up Dion and Abby, and then we got there and stood in line for 50 years.
Yeah, when I got there, well, because
I was so
there
bored.
was so many entrances for like the
The
guests
guests,
to
yeah, I
walk
was
in,
like,
and
what?
then they were like guests, and then they were like graduates. You have to go to like I was like entrance
One
9 or
specific
something,
gate, yeah.
and then it was just a long line of graduates in their gowns. Also, it was like kind of hot, and we were all
Yeah, it was
already
already
in our
hot.
gowns.
It was like 9 a.m.
And then I was like walking and I was also wearing heels and I was like, okay, when's the end of this line? Like, where is it? And then it curved
Yeah.
at the intersection. I was like, oh my God, it's still going on. Until I eventually saw some friends and I was like, hi. And they were like, oh my gosh, hi, come join us in line. I was like, okay, cool. I don't have to keep going all the way to the
Oh
back.
my god, me and Abby and Laurel and Dion went all the way to the back because we didn't. I think we saw Crystal, but we didn't join her at her point in line, so we went all the way to the back. And then Austin eventually like cut with us, and then Colin was with us too. We had a whole like random collection of people by the time we actually got to the gate. So I
Yeah.
don't know why there was only one entrance for us.
Yeah, it was like Andrea, because I saw Andrea, and so I like joined, and I was like, oh okay. And then Isak eventually came. He's like, hey guys, and I was like, just come in line with us.
Yeah.
And then we eventually like made it in, and then we were just in that open space, and that's when I eventually saw you and
Yes.
Fatima and Kayleen and Laurel and Dion and yeah, everyone.
Everybody.
And that's when we took all of our pictures,
Yeah.
first
I think we took
pictures.
like a couple and then we were like, okay, let's go inside. Oh my god, in the walk, I was so glad I wore my Converse.
I know my feet were hurting so bad.
The
Well,
walk was so long.
okay, so like you start out kind of like towards the top of the stadium, and we had to be on the
Yeah.
ground level because everyone's gonna watch us.
We're
So
on
we
the
had to walk,
field.
yeah. So we had to walk down a bunch of these ramps.
These like long ramped
Yeah,
walkways that eventually go down to field level, and then it was like, the huge, like, I don't know what it's called, but it's like where the teams and all their people hang out, like when they're not on the field,
yeah,
and there's all
but
this
this
security and all those people.
But
Oh my
but
god.
this time it was like there were 6,000 graduates in like a poorly ventilated area because it's all
Yeah, that was
concrete
so.
around us. And so I was like, bro, I'm disgusted. I'm gonna keep this mask on and never take it off. Meanwhile, I saw like people taking off their mask. There were like girls being like, my feet hurt. And then they took off their shoes, and I was like, girl, I'm not about to work. I'm not going to walk barefoot.
Yeah, in the stadium, like, granted, it is a very new stadium, and it's like it like was supposed to, last summer was supposed to be SoFi's big, like, look at us and all our concerts and our stuff, and we're like new, so that didn't really happen. So like that is probably the shiniest and nicest we will ever see that stadium. But still, yeah, no. I was like, because they said in the email too, they were like, oh, wear comfortable shoes. And I was like, I wonder what that means. What does that mean, LMU? Like, what? How much? Like, I was like, I know you walk a lot when you walk normally at graduation, so I was
Mm-hmm.
expecting like the same amount of walking as like if we were on campus, but that was wrong.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh yeah, whatever. But I already wanted to wear my Converse because I was like, ugh. I wore heels for my like pictures, so I was like, I want to look more unique and individual and quirky.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like other girls. I'm gonna wear Converse. And then I still died. I was like, bro, what is this?
I thought about wearing like my sneakers, like my white sneakers, because I was like, it would have worked with my outfit. But it's a nice thing, it's a nice event, right? And I know my mom would be like, why are you wearing sneakers for your
Sneakers.
graduation? And I'd be like, okay, I'm just gonna wear my heels then. But it was very brutal on my feet, my God.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
brutal out here.
even like when the
It was
graduation
so
ended
hot.
and we had to walk back up that ramp
Oh my god,
again,
that was
I
even
was
worse.
like,
That was like
oh my
that
God,
was
my
like the
feet.
that was the second act low point of my day was walking
Yeah.
up back up.
And I was
And then it
like,
was so hot.
it was hot. And I was like, even then, I was like, I'm not about to be barefoot like some of these girls right here because that's just not right.
I
That's
was
just
just
not right.
so hot, so tired, and also like I did the classic thing of like, I made a plan the night before for like, picking up Abby and then Dion and then getting there by, X time or whatever. And I purposely made it so that we would have been early if we'd actually been on time to my schedule. And naturally, we were not on time at all leaving. Me and Laurel like took forever to get ready. Also because I had my mom do folklore buns for me, and that took like a couple
Oh,
of
okay.
attempts to make it look like even and correct. And she put so many bobby pins in my hair. I was getting war flashbacks to when I did baton because that was like 20 bobby pins per event. So that was like basically what happened here, and I was like, "Oh my god." And then I didn't have hairspray too, so I was like, I just have to preserve this hair. I can't like let it get messed up or whatever. And then we went and then we got there like fashionably late. It wasn't like late though because it was before the time we were supposed to be there still, but the line to get in was so long, and then I was just so hot. I brought a fan,
Your
just one
Pikachu,
like my Pikachu one
yeah.
that I just waved myself. That was such a good call. Like I've started bringing my fan with me to other places now because I've realized like that can be such a game changer.
You just sound like an old, like, Filipino auntie at this point now, being
Like
like,
give
I
me
brought my
a
fan.
they didn't
At
well cuz
church.
yeah, they didn't give us like programs or anything, so I would have been like with my hand like no. So I had like the fan. I wore clear oh, also because it's a stadium and now all sporting venues are like, afraid of terrorism and mass shooting cuz that's just American culture now. Like you have to use clear bags for everything or just leave stuff in a locker outside. So I brought a clear fanny pack that I wore under my gown and I literally just put like this fan and like my car keys and my like ID and my car, like I brought my debit card in case I needed to emergency spend money. I also had a pack of bobby pins, which honestly, I had it for myself with my folklore buns in case that went south, but that did not go south. But I did lend out a lot of bobby pins to people with like their caps and stuff. So that was good. That came in handy for that. So if you look up the pictures of me, you'll just see where I have my gown unzipped. It's like my dress gets all bunched up under this fanny pack, and you can just see like the pink, like bobby pin thing in this clear fanny pack just on my belly in my grad pictures, and I'm like, awesome. Yeah, but the fan was definitely a lifesaver in that. Well, first of all, when we were standing in that inside part before we actually processed out, I was like so hot, and it took me like 15 minutes to remember, oh yeah, I brought a fan. So that was kind of a waste, but
Oh
whatever.
my god. Oh my
The
god,
procession
inside.
lines.
No, yeah, I was gonna say the procession line. So like we, so like in our group chat, we were all texting each other, being like, "What procession line are you in?" And then we found out that we were not all in the same procession line, but more
Which,
so,
what does that, why was
I
it by
was,
line and not school? Make
I
it
was,
make sense.
yeah, because like both me and Madison were like, "Why are we not in the same procession line when we're in the same school?"
Yeah, also
Because
because
that
we've
was
been
the whole
planning
thing.
for like 2 years to sit next to each other. Oh my god. That was
And then
BS.
And so they had signs being like procession line A, B, and C, and I think me and Laurel were in procession line C, so we were just like with each other. And then once we actually entered the stadium, the lines no longer existed. Everyone
Yeah.
just walked in a crowd.
Yeah, cause then you called me, I think, when you had gotten in, and you were like, "We sat down, they're not checking," and I was like, "We had ended up." I was in procession line A with like Crystal and Fati, and we had ended up near the front of our line because we found Martin, so we cut with him, I think. So we cut to like almost the front of the line, so we like processed in pretty fast. So by the time I think you had come in, we'd already been there for like 10 minutes in our
Oh.
seats.
Yeah, well,
Because it was
cause
taking forever.
yeah, so it was like me, Laurel, Bryant, Andrea, and then Dion was in I think like procession line B, so she just joined us. So we were like sitting like in the middle section, a little closer to the back, and we're just like,
Hmm.
okay, I guess we're gonna sit here now. Which when you walk in, you like see everyone in the stadium like that, of course, but also the screen in that
Oh my
stadium is so
god, yeah.
interesting because it's like a curved like
It's like a whole loop
halo.
of screens. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty freaky.
And then you walk in and you hear like Vince Scully's voice with the pomp
That
and
was like
circumstance.
that was also so weird because I was like, he's not here, so it's just his voice.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, they're really making it a big deal that they chose him as the announcer for commencement. Like, when is that? I don't know any other school that's like, yeah, we like took the time to pick out our commencement announcer, not a speaker, but like just the
Maybe
person
because
announcing the events.
they just wanted to go with the whole SoFi sports theme, I guess, or
I don't
whatever.
really know. I was like Vince Scully when the name Vince Scully was called. I was like, I literally don't know who that is.
I don't know either. I had to look it up. So we were sitting in these chairs. Oh my god, they had us packed. The graduates were packed in like sardines. It was so warm. I mean, it was not as hot as when we were inside, but it was still pretty warm. And we were packed in like sardines, and they were not enforcing the mask mandate like at all.
Yeah.
Like people were just like, I would say like it was almost like 60-40, like 40% not wearing masks, maybe even 50-50, I don't know. But like I was just like, what? And then also people taking off their entire gowns and stuff. I was like, what is happening?
I know. I was
I was like,
confused
are
by
we
that
all
too.
stripping right now? What is happening?
I was like, I mean, it was hot, but
Yeah, I was like, I'll dress the part. And then there was a girl in my row who brought like a novel and was like reading, and I was like, honestly, that was so true of you. You
yeah.
did that. You understood the assignment. You did it right. Cuz then I also at some points like when they awarded the honorary degree to someone questionable, I pulled out my phone and I was like, anyways, and I continued reading whatever fanfic I had been reading
Oh.
earlier. I was like, anyways. Anyways, I'm just gonna go back to reading this fanfiction now because I'm not participating in whatever this is with this questionable person. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I was expecting the ceremony to drag more, but it did kind of it went along.
Yeah, it went
You know,
along pretty
they
fast.
they kept it
Okay.
going.
Well, it was like the procession, and then they made it a whole big deal, being like, "Ah, now we finally have everyone together." And T Law, the president of the school, was like, "Go Lions!" And everyone was like, Yeah.
Oh my god. They were really trying to be like school spirit, and I was like, I
Yeah.
do not attend this school anymore. I have no more. I have lost my spirit. We're in a pandemic.
And then
I
they were
have
like,
no spirit.
they had so many like student testimonials, and I was like, we literally don't need that. I already went to this school. I already know my experience with this school. Like,
Yeah,
I could literally
that's
tell my
enough.
parents like what my own testimonial of how the school was for me.
Yes.
They don't need to hear it from some other random person who also went to the school.
It was just so chaotic. It was so disorganized. Also, like, because then at the end, towards the end of the ceremony, I guess I don't know how it ended up happening, but a bunch of the graduates started processing out, and they waited like. So then I got up. I was like, "Oh, are we leaving now?" So I started to leave, and then they waited like a full 5 minutes before someone on the stage was like, "Wait, actually, don't leave yet." And I was
Well,
like,
yeah.
"We've been leaving
Well,
for like 5 minutes. What
yeah, yeah, I
happened?"
remember because me and Dion and everyone were like, okay, let's go. And then we started walking back, and then like I think Thomas Poon was still Provost
Yes.
Poon was still talking. I was like, man, like you can cut the act now. Like everyone's ready to go. And they
Yeah.
still did the procession out with whatever that staff
Yeah.
thing
Well,
is
cause
like.
yeah, cause then when they told us to stop, then the group I was with, we went and sat in other random seats, like a few rows back from where we've been sitting. I was like, "What was the point of that? What? What?" I was
I
like,
don't know. Okay,
"Huh?"
well, let's go back into the actual like enjoyable parts of the ceremony, which you had already
Viola
mentioned,
Davis.
Viola Davis,
Her speech was
because
so good.
her speech was really bringing tears to everyone's eyes, and it was, how do you even summarize a speech like she gave? She gave some really good point, like very like inspirational lines, but like even more so, like it was pretty honest of the world. She was
Mhm.
just basically like, "Bro, you're going to get hurt and it's okay
Yeah,
because that's
she.
where the light is going to come out." And I was like, "Oh my God, Viola Davis."
Yes, she like kept it real. I was like, "Yes, this is the energy we need so
Yeah,
bad."
it wasn't more so like, "Oh, cuz you know how the whole thing with like LMU and being like, "Oh, go and set the world on fire." Like, yeah, that should be the speech. Like that should be like some variation of that speech, but I feel like
Mhm.
Viola Davis like changed or created a speech in a way that was a lot more empowering and felt like there was needed, like you need to be brave whenever you go out into the world, rather than sometimes when I hear like go out and set the world on fire, it sounds a bit like evangelizing.
Yes, it's like, well, cause I think, cause it's like the original meaning is like, yeah, go set the world on fire with like the like God's word or whatever, and I'm like, no, I will not be
Yeah.
doing that.
But like for her it was like basically just like be 100% authentically you, and like you're gonna get hurt along the way, but that's okay because you learn more about yourself that way. And I was like, "Oh my God, Viola Davis, that was such a good point."
Yes, love her. That was definitely a highlight. Yeah, cause honestly, I don't even remember what else
Well,
happened that much.
she literally left after her speech. She was like,
She
"Bye."
did. She literally, yeah, cause I was talking to my family after, and they're like, yeah, we watched her leave. She just walked out and just yeeted, and I was like, so true of her.
And then the next part was, instead of doing walking across the stage, what they did instead was have the dean of each school come up and like say their like 30-second speech, and then have all of the graduates of that school stand up so they can get
Yeah, and get
recognized.
clapped.
So we were the first school. School of Film and Television was the first one, and then the interim dean, because the other dean
Oh my
got
god.
fired.
Yeah, whatever is happening with
I only laughed
SFTV, I
because
have
it was a weird, bizarre thing
like,
that happened.
because of course SFTV is gonna be the one that has like Hollywood type drama about it because it's like film school, so of course they're gonna have like some sort of like Hollywood type drama about who's the dean. I feel like.
Yeah, so like the interim dean said this the whole thing, and so we all stood up, and then we just cheered and graduated. Everyone
Mhm.
clapped. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they did that with all the schools. Oh, also, I was looking at the crowd a lot because I was trying to find like my parents and my sisters and my boyfriend.
Mhm.
There was no like I could not send a text message in that stadium because I'm pretty sure everyone was like jamming the phone signal trying to see where everyone else
I
is.
got I got like some text from my family because then I told them I was like, I think they saw when I came in on the big screen or something, and I told them where I was sitting. So they had been sitting like in the worst place for that. So they literally got up and moved, and
Oh,
then
okay.
they were like, "Oh, like just stand up and wave your fan around." And then I did, and I eventually saw my dad jumping around in the stands. So I was like, "Oh hey, there they are."
Yeah,
So I was able to locate them.
well, instead of wearing, because our, like, everyone has, like, the standard LMU stole, which is, like, a blue stole.
Yeah, it's such an
But
ugly shade of blue.
I had, like, my white Marion Service org stole, so I put that on top so it could be easier to notice me.
Mhm.
But I had gotten a message, I think, from one of my sisters being like, "Do you see us?" And I was like, "I could not see you," until I saw Dion holding a poster of me as a chinchilla holding a college diploma. And I was like, "Oh, I found them."
Yes.
That was our graduation. And then we were
And then we
just
processed out prematurely,
prematurely.
apparently.
And then the sparklers went
Yeah,
off.
the
There was like
pyrotechnics.
pyrotechnics were going off, and
I was
people
like on a
started
football
messing
field
around with
next.
them. And I was like,
Oh,
y'all, I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all have like hairspray on.
well.
So I'm not about to play with bait today.
Nope. And then also, like, when we were leaving, they did not give us any instructions on where to go.
No. No. Oh yeah,
Because
because
then,
I was like, does
yeah,
anyone have a map?
no, because that's why I was like, they didn't hand us programs, they didn't give us any directions or anything. And first of all, they funneled, like, all the graduates out through one exit, even though I think we've come out of more than one. I don't know, but we
Yeah.
could only leave through one exit. And I was like, why?
Yeah, so they had so like after the ceremony was only an hour and a half approximately. Like
Uh-huh.
it just moved pretty fast and I was like, okay, cool, we're in and out. And then they had these like college receptions where each school had their own section of the stadium to where we can mingle and get our quote unquote alumni gift.
Yes.
So me and
Swag bag.
Madison, because we're from the same school, we're like, okay, so we're gonna go to the same place. And like I was like, I don't even know where we're supposed to be
Oh my god.
going.
Yeah, well, because they didn't tell us anything, and then also it took so long just to get out of the damn like the field. I was like, because when we were waiting to leave, still like we had not even left that area. My dad texted that they were already at the reception, and I was like, I don't know where the reception is. Also, I'm stuck on this field, and we are being funneled through a single entrance.
Well, this entrance that we were leaving was actually on the other side of where our college reception was
Yeah, it was
supposed
like
to
on the
be.
far side, like long lengthwise, the far
Hmm.
side from the stadium. Because then we had to go out there and then walk back up and then figure it out. And it was
Yeah.
then we got finally made it back to like there's a word for it, basically like the main level of the stadium where like a bunch of like the middle level, all this a bunch like you go to a lot of the different sections or whatever. We found a huge map, like a big like just board map. And then we had to walk the half of the circumference of the stadium to get to this reception. And I was like, good lord, this is a little bit inefficient, but more walking, yay, I guess.
Yeah.
And there was no instructions, so I was like, cool. And then we eventually made it, and our families were like near each other too, so that was nice.
I honestly was like, I don't really know what to expect in this gift. Part of me was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna give us all iPads, but no.
An iPad, please. That's too many iPads. I think 6,000.
They're giving out
Maybe there's like five of us.
they're giving out Samsung tablets. No, they're giving out the Kindle tablets
Oh please,
so we can
I would
read.
have much rather that over what we got.
Yeah, we got a wine tumbler and like sunglasses, but like those cheap plastic ones.
Like the knockoff
And
Ray-Ban looking ones.
yeah, and then a
Like the
magnet
ones
that
that are
says
from Claire's.
yeah, a magnet that says LMU. And
Uh-huh.
then ironically a clear tote bag that everyone could have used
Yes.
at the graduation.
Yeah, so I was like, wow, this sure is something. And then also our reception was combined with the College of Fine Arts. So I literally saw you at the beginning when we got there, and then I saw like Abby for 5 seconds. Then I looked around and I was like, I'm not gonna know most of these people because there's a whole other class and a whole two other whole classes of a whole other college. Bye. So then, so I think my parents and I went to go get the brownies like nearby. Then we came back and I was like, I literally don't see a single person I know here. And then we left.
Yeah, I
So I was
eventually
like,
like
I had enough.
we took our pictures. I got my gift and I left because I was like, okay, I think because the people I wanted to see, I already saw them. Like we took all our
Yeah.
pictures and everything, and I was like, yeah,
Like
cool.
I
I don't
didn't
really need to
see that
stay.
many like SFTV people I knew, but I was like, I don't want to like wait around and like go through this whole
Mhm.
crowd. I was like kind of over it. So I was like,
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah, so that was it. We had our whole graduation and then we left because we all went to go have our respective like dinners and stuff with our families. Us and a bunch of other friends like rented out an Airbnb for the night
Yep.
because like we haven't really like had the time to like hang out with each other, aside from that graduation. So we got an Airbnb and then we just got drunk and played board games such as
Mhm.
Throw Burrito and
Yes.
that Hitler game where I kept accusing Madison of being
Oh my god, it
Hitler.
was Secret Hitler, and
Yeah.
then Christiane was like, "You're wearing red, therefore," which I was wearing a shirt Christiane had given me as a gift many moons ago. But apparently, that shirt is now indicative of my political stance in that game.
As a
So,
Nazi. Yeah.
yeah, so I was just like, thanks for nothing. And then eventually everybody passed out.
Oh my gosh. And then your mom bought a whole cookie cake.
Yeah, she bought like a whole cookie cake that did not have a size on the website. It just was
Like
like a
how big
rectangle
was
instead
it?
of a circle. I don't know. It was like a couple feet, maybe like two
It was
feet long
like
or
it
something. I
was
don't
like
know.
2 feet long by like a foot and a half, and I was
Yeah.
like, this is so big.
She was just like, oh, I can buy a rectangle or a circle. And I was like, oh, there's gonna be a lot of people, so maybe we should go rectangle. And then that was that. And then so that happened. And then I passed. So everybody, a lot of people passed out. I passed out, then woke up, then stayed up for like another hour. I went back to whenever. Then we all went to bed, and then I was one of the first people up. So, because then I cut up cookie cake pieces for everybody. Rip to everyone else, but I can just wake up. I don't know, without sleep. I was like, yeah, I maybe slept like 4 or 5 hours, but it's fine. And then we went to the farmer's market because you,
Yeah,
while you were
because
drunk, were obsessed with like what was it,
because
pupusas?
yeah, cause me, I was like, well, yeah, I was like pretty drunk, and I was like, y'all, you know what sounds good right now? Pupusas. And then Fati heard me and was like, I love pupusas. We should like order some or like Postmate some. So I was looking up places and I was like, "Ugh, they're all closed. We can't go right now because it was already late.
It was like
And then
11, 10 or
Fati
11 at night.
yeah, and Fati was like, we could just go to the farmer's market in Westchester for pupusas. And I was like, that's a great idea. So then we went to the farmer's market and got pupusas. And what else did we get?
I think I got like
Something else.
lemonade. Oh, I
Yeah.
got kettle corn. I think you guys also got tamales. And then we all went back to our respective places and probably passed out for the rest of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Actually, I did not pass out, but I just was like at home, like, wow, now I'm really tired.
The only big thing, or like the more important thing, was that like we got to see each other and hang out because now that I'm back in Houston and Fati is like in Colorado and everyone is just doing their own thing now,
Yeah,
we
everyone's so
like,
far away. I have like
yeah.
nobody nearby. No one comes to Torrance.
It was nice because it's like a lot of people at LMU kind of came from a lot of different places and different states. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
one that was cool because like oh you got to meet people who like lived in a different place than you did. But at the same time when
Mm-hmm.
you had to say goodbye, it's like oh like we're not
You're
gonna
gonna
be in
be
close
goodbye for a
proximity
while.
ever. Yeah.
Yeah, but tis is life, I guess. Still, one the main highlight of that weekend, Viola Davis. Yes, she is the note to end on, and she posted about it too. I was like, oh my gosh, Viola like shouted out our school on Instagram. I've been indirectly perceived by Viola Davis.
My highlight of the weekend was when T Law, towards the end of the ceremony, was like, Go Lions, raise the roof. And everyone was genuinely confused what he was saying.
I was like, I'm done.
He kind of
I'm no
sounded like he
longer
was
a
trying to
lion.
rap, and everyone was like, What? And then that one dean who said, Whose house? And then everyone was like, What? And then
Yeah,
she was
I don't
just
know.
like, Lion's house. And I was like,
I
no.
was like, I don't think that's how that works.
Okay, well, everyone, thank you for listening to another episode of Pineapple Headache. Do you have any lasting thoughts aside from Viola Davis, Madison?
I really hope for the class of 2022's sake that you guys have a normal commencement and not whatever the. I mean, it was fun. What we had was fun, but maybe the traditional one might be a little more put together.
Okay. Was mega commencement a headache for you?
Yeah, like I actually did have a pretty thick headache, I think, afterward because we went also because there was no food, barely, so we went that whole time without eating. I honestly had to pee from the moment I left my grandma's house to until after the ceremony. So, it was a headache, but it was a fun headache, you know?
Okay, good. So it's a pineapple headache then.
Yes.
Okay. Well, everyone, thank you for listening to another episode of Pineapple Headache. We will see you next time.
See ya at the next headache.